A daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markel. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markel.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Morning Mindset. I am your host, Paul Markel, and thank you for joining me today. As we said at the outset, we're going to attempt with the Morning Mindset podcast to do things that are, or discuss things that are positive and productive and proactive so that it will benefit us in our lives, whether it's our business lives or our personal lives or our family lives. Now, today we're going to discuss self-assessment. That's right, it's gut check time. And this is, quite frankly, let's be honest with ourselves. Self-assessment is the most difficult thing that we can do as humans, as adults or children or men or women or what have you, especially in this world that we live in today. Today we live in a world where you've been told, or well, I don't know how old you are, but if you're less than 30 years old, you probably have been a part of the no score soccer, everyone gets a trophy. How do you feel about things? For at least 10 years, maybe more, maybe going on 15 or 20, there's been this hard focus in our society about feelings. How do you feel about that? How does that make you feel? Well, the fact of the matter is your feelings don't really matter when it comes to performance. And when it comes to gut check time, when it comes time for self-assessment, honest self-assessment, it's difficult to do that in our modern world because we've been taught for so long that facts aren't as important as feelings. But if you want to learn, to advance, to improve in a skill, we need to engage in honest, no kidding self-assessment. And this is the biggest stumbling block that most people will find when it comes to mastery or advancement. I'll give you a good example. Let us say that, well, it's, the beginning of the year, at least it's the beginning of the year as we're releasing this, right? And what do many people do around New Year's? Well, people make resolutions. And even if they don't make formal resolutions, they tell themselves, well, this year, during this new year, I'm going to blank. Now, the most common one is health or fitness. Many people will say to themselves during the new year in January, this year I'm going to lose weight. This year I'm going to get stronger. This year I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to whatever. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that your New Year's resolution and your goal is to lose weight. All right? That's probably one of the biggest things that people struggle with in the United States of America because, let's face it, this is not the world that we lived in 200 years ago where if you had food, you were lucky, or you had to work every single day to make sure there was food on the table and there was food in the house. Today, in America, we don't really, or wherever in the world, quite frankly, unless you live in places in Africa and South America maybe, but getting food on the table is not that difficult of a task. Very few people are legitimately starving or very hungry in America. Matter of fact, it's generally the opposite. People consume so much food that they get lethargic and large and overweight and so forth. So that's probably one of the hottest topics around the new year. Well, when it comes to honest self-assessment, let's say you've decided, yes, I am going to lose blank, whatever, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. Now, part of the self-assessment is to look at yourself and say, what do I really need to do? Am I, 5'10" and I weigh 262 pounds? Or am I 5'4" and weigh 262 pounds? And you say, I need to lose whatever. Well, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, part of your self-assessment is, am I going to be able to do that? And how am I going to be able to do that? Now, many people, what they'll do, they'll fail in their New Year's resolutions or goals because why? because they make the resolution, they set the goal, or at least in their minds, then they start out, but they have no real genuine self-assessment. There's no real gut check that went on there. They say, oh, I'm going to lose this weight. Okay, how are you going to lose this weight? I'm going to work hard and I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, well, when are you going to go to the gym and what are you going to do? Well, whenever I can, whenever I have the time. Or I'm going to eat less. Well, less what? Well, I'll eat one less cookie. Let's face facts. Eating one less cookie per day is probably not going to help you lose weight. You need to be able to look at yourself and honestly say, okay, I need to lose blank, 30 pounds. All right. And you say to yourself, how am I going to do that? What am I going to change in my life? And part of self-assessment is considering how you're currently behaving, how you're currently living your life. Now, you may say, I'm good. I am good right now. Rock on. I'm doing really well. Excellent. That's part of self-assessment too. But the truth of the matter is, many people can't begin to improve because they're not able to honestly look in the mirror. They're not able to honestly have a conversation with themselves and say, all right, I want to improve in this aspect in my life, but I'm not improving right now. Why is that? What is it that is keeping me from being, and like I said, you throw it out there, whatever, keeping me from being more physically fit, keeping me from being stronger, keeping me from losing this weight? What is keeping me from advancing in my career? Your self-assessment might be, well, this is what I'm doing today. This is where I work. This is what I do, but it's not where I want to be. I'd like to be a supervisor at my company. I would like to actually be in charge. Or maybe I would like some other type of promotion. Maybe I would like a raise. Maybe I'd like to be making more money. Everybody would like to be making more money, right? Well, the reason that most people aren't making more money and they're not advancing in their careers is because they can't sit back and have an honest conversation with themselves and say, all right, I want to be doing better. I want to be doing more. I want to be making more money, what have you. Why is it that that's not happening? And in a world where everything is filled with emotion and feelings, unfortunately, a lot of people in the United States, well, even in our entire world, they'll say their honest self-assessment is, well, I'm not advancing in my career. I'm not making as much money because other people are unfair, because people don't like me at work. People aren't treating me properly. The boss is greedy. The system is wrong. That's crap. That is crap. In the United States of America today, and I don't know about Europe or, Asia or what have you, but in the United States of America today, the fact of the matter is if you are not advancing in your career, if you're not where you want to be, job-wise or career-wise, most of the time it's not because there is a system that is set up to hold you down. Most of the time, I would say 99.5% of the time, the reason you're not advancing is because you haven't done a self-assessment gut check and you haven't honestly said to yourself, whatever, the reason I'm not advancing is because blank. Maybe you're not putting forth the proper amount of effort. Or maybe you think you're putting forth the proper amount of effort, but it turns out that other people don't feel the same way as you. Okay? Now, it could be that you are in a position or in a job where you're not advancing, you're not making more money, you're not doing what you want to do, and you're unwilling to make a change. That is honest self-assessment. Say, well, I really want to be doing this and this and this. And you say, well, why am I not? Is it because you're afraid to be uncomfortable? You're afraid to make a change. Sometimes you have to have a look, in the mirror and talk to that person and say, well, I wanted to do this, or my goal originally when I started my career or when I started this job, my goal was to do blank. And here I am 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and I'm no closer to achieving my goal than I was when I started. Why is that? And that's tough. It's difficult because everywhere you look, the media, all the filth that comes from Hollywood, all the social psychobabble that comes from the big government complex about, it's not your fault. It's the system. It's racism. It's thisism. It's thatism. That's what's holding you back. And so you glom onto these excuses and you never take the time to, have a real honest discussion with yourself, some real serious self-assessment, and say, maybe the reason that I'm not achieving, I'm not losing weight, I'm not getting stronger, I'm not doing whatever, it's not because forces are aligned against me. It's because I'm not doing the right things. And before you start doing the right things, before you make that change, that's where the self-assessment comes in. You got to have that conversation. It's kind of like I know it sounds cliche, but the alcoholic. An alcoholic cannot recover until they get to that point where they realize that they actually have a problem. Because up to that point, what? It's not my fault. It's not that big of a deal. It's other people. Everyone's on my case, blah, blah, blah. An alcoholic cannot recover from alcoholism until they have that honest, CTJ moment where they look in the mirror and they're like, you know what? I'm the problem. Now, I'm not saying that you're the problem, but I'm saying if you want to advance in your life, if you want to advance in your career, in a new skill or what have you, the first thing you got to do is have a conversation with that guy in the mirror. Engage in some honest, no kidding, maybe even painful self-assessment. All right, guys, that is your morning mindset for today. I hope you appreciated it. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate everybody who has so far left a review on iTunes or whatever it is you happen to be listening to this podcast on. Share it with someone, leave a review, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markel, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.